Hi, how you doing? Sorry, it's very odd for me to sit down on a mic. So I'm just going to stand up. Plus, I know there's people at the back there, and I really would like to see them. I'm not throwing the gauntlet down to anyone, by the way. I'm sorry. It's just usually when I perform or anything, and then I stand up, I'll be too conscious of the fact I'm sitting down. And my head's a bit like scrambled egg the day as it is. Anyway, my name's Darren McGarvey. I go by the artist name Loki. And I'm a community artist. For about 10 years I've specialised in working with the young people in communities that would be deemed to be challenging. So that is, basically, if I'm honest, all the young people who behave the way that I used to behave when I was a wee guy. So instead of chastising them, I like to just try and talk to them on their terms and turf. And very often I find that they respond differently to me than they do to the traditional authority figures in their life, such as parents or people in community centres or the police. And so I very much try and promote engaging with young people in a non-patronising way and really listen to their concerns, because if they're behaving what we would call antisocial, that's an expression of something. That's them communicating in their language. And in order to actually deal with it, we can't just keep sending them to prison. We can't just keep leaving them in the housing scheme to do what they do. Because eventually, we're going to have to hand this society over to them, and they're going to have to look after us. So I just wanted to set my stall out with that. Now, the argument I've been trying to make in any of these events that I've been doing is not to do with a lot of the mainstream issues. I mean, the other day I was doing a debate on Sunny Govan Radio, right? So that's in Govan, right? A traditional working class community. There was myself and someone representing Better Together, and there was a radio host. And a couple of people that tweeted in, I thought they were kind of missing the point. Somebody tweeted in, it was actually Eddie Reader, actually, who is a prominent Yes campaigner. She just tweeted in, ask them about the Barnett formula. And first of all, I thought, somebody would hear that read, the word Barnett should be removed from the vocabulary. And then I thought, what was the purpose of that tweet? There's no awareness of the fact we're sitting in Govan and we're trying to not just sit in Govan and talk about, we're trying to talk in the language of Govan. So we're trying to show an awareness. And so somebody else, we got asked about the currency naturally, and somebody tweeted in, the answer to the currency was worse than Alistair Darling. And I just thought, hang on a minute, I'm not a politician. I don't harbour any pretension to be a politician, so I'm not so quick to pander to armchair revolutionaries who are looking to me, a normal person, for answers about the currency. The information's all out there. So I just thought I would remark on that before I continue. Now, why am I here and who am I? I grew up in Pollock. I grew up in a community under the constant threat of violence. A threat of violence that became so subtle and normalised that I didn't realise it changed who I was on a fundamental level. So I grew up in a state of constant anxiety and fear. Fear about my safety, fear about what people thought, fear about, are people around me going to leave? Uncertainty, insecurity. And as I grew up, this evolved into rampant egotism, which became the engine room of an almost fatal addiction and alcohol problem. I took, oh goodness me, it was about 18 months ago I had my last drink, and before I actually managed to stop drinking, the funny thing was that I managed to keep drinking because all the evidence for me stopping didn't look very good. The relapse statistics don't read very well. There's a million reasons why you should just stay the way you are, because a life of sobriety, which means a life of rigorous honesty and self-reflection, that life seems almost unknown. It seems uncertain, and you would think, why would I even do that? I'm not chastising anybody in here who might bevy a wee bit too much. I'm just want to say that as well. So what was it that was fueling my anxiety? Well, apart from all the self-concern, then it was, in my adulthood, it was concerns about the material world. So it was concerns about money, where was I getting money, how much money was I getting, then it was about what was I spending my money on. And what has been disheartening for me about this debate is the majority of it is being conducted in that material realm. So let's go to the material realm for a minute, right? The things that we're concerned about materially are jobs, right? So that's things like employment rights, things like the NHS, things like welfare. What the union is trying to argue now is that they provided all those things and that we should be thankful and that's why we should stay. They are very conveniently omitting the fact that idealistic people spoke out, so people fought tooth and nail for those things. And that is how societies work. A state does not give us anything. It makes concessions because we organise and exert some form of force. So that's why we have a Scottish Parliament, because they thought this will shut them up. Now, if we're going to look at it materially, if we just want to argue about material things, fine, okay, let's do that. So let's look at British history through a material lens. What we'll see is a country that does not know how to behave any other way than aggressively, duplicitously. It's about looking at you like a disposable container who is on this earth to work until you die. That is it. That is all you need to know. You're seen by privileged people as a shapeless mass to be sculpted by their chisel. Now that is why they do not want you to think outside of the material box. That's why they'll say to you, oh, that idealism, that's just flowery, that's just, we need to live in the real world where life is really over a matter of £500. I'm sorry, but I fundamentally reject that whole way of thinking. I understand the material concerns are important and we use that to objectively measure our progress in life and as a society. But that isn't all life is about. Now, I just want to sort of comment quickly on the amount of information out there and also the way that the information is framed for us. We live in this material culture where we're encouraged to be individual and go out and express our aspiration by buying crap. Crap that's bad for us, crap that's bad for the environment, crap that depends on slave wages in other countries. Because we're protected from the implications of our lifestyle here. When we get the news, we get the, oh, this might be a wee bit disturbing for you, so we just want to warn you before you see it. And then we get the sanitised images of the real language your country uses abroad to maintain our material comfort. Why do we need oil? So we can put it in our Walkmans and batteries, so we can put it in our motor and drive to Asda and buy chocolate. We look at other countries around this world and we think, how can they live like that? We look at Russia and China and North Korea and we think, how can they live like that? Look at them worshipping the pictures of supreme leaders. But in this material culture, they've got us worshipping pictures of ourselves. It's all about me, me, me. And that is the box they want to keep you in, folks. They want to tell you what you can't do and what you should be afraid of. But see, those people who are saying you can't do it, they were brought up in a class where they were told they could do anything they put their mind to. Anything. So that's why when you look on your telly screens, you see a whole gaggle of really unexceptional white men. Why? Because they thought they couldn't rule the world. Doesn't even enter their mind. And finally, the thing that fueled my addiction was two things. I grew up in a community on chronic stress. And that became what I referred to earlier as rampant egotism. I'm not saying people in here are egomaniacs, but I think Western culture in general is a wee bit too superficial. I'm not wanting a socialist state, but it would be nice to have a wee bit of a re-emphasis on human well-being, where you're entitled to make obscene profits if you demonstrate certain principles about not trying to manipulate people's human frailty in order to sell them crap. When we start to look at the world in that way, it becomes very obvious, to me at least, that we can only start to change that culture by shocking it to its core. And I think a good way to do that would be on 18th of September to go in and tick yes to the question, should Scotland be an independent country? And I'll just leave it at that, folks. Thank you.